Yes, absolutely. And the thing about Shedeur, he is very likable. Like I said, his teammates really, really like him a lot. And I know how these things go. His teammates really, really like him. He brings fun. He brings a lot of joy. He keeps things light. And that's very genuine about him. He's a good person.
The NFL world is going crazy right now. You need to stop everything you're doing and pay attention if you haven't heard what's going on in Cleveland. This is the kind of story that only happens once in a generation. Drama, controversy, redemption, and a father-son legacy are all on the line in professional football's biggest games. Shedeur Sanders, the son of Hall of Famer Deion Sanders, is set to make his debut as a quarterback. This could be the most anticipated debut we've seen in years, and the NFL commissioner has just made a huge announcement that is shaking up the whole league. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready for the drama to go through the roof, the stakes to be sky high, and the stadium to be full. This isn't just a regular football game. This is a vote on how to judge talent, a message about not giving up, and maybe the start of one of the best comeback stories in NFL history. When Shedeur Sanders plays against the Las Vegas Raiders on Sunday, he won't just be playing for himself. He'll be playing for every kid who was told they weren't good enough, for every player who saw their goals slip away on draft day. And certainly, he'll be playing to show that the name on the back of his jersey was won through hard work and pain. Not merely passed down from one of the most exciting athletes to ever wear cleats. Let's travel back in time and figure out how we arrived to this really crazy point. The trip to this Sunday has been like a movie script. Shedeur Sanders shouldn't have been in Cleveland wearing orange and brown. He wasn't meant to go in the 5th round. He was definitely not intended to be the player who everyone ignored while 31 other teams passed on him more than once. People thought this young guy would be a first-round pick, a franchise quarterback, and that his name would be called early on draft night, with his family celebrating and cameras flashing. Instead, he fell all the way to pick 144 overall on draft day, which was one of the most startling things that has happened in a long time. The Cleveland Browns eventually pulled the trigger and gave him a chance. The question came up right away. Was it the strength of his arm? Were there worries about how well he could read NFL defenses? Was it because of his father's huge personality and Hall of Fame legacy? Or was it anything else? Some strange character issue or imagine limitation that made every squad in the league slow down? The talking heads on TV had a lot to say about it. People who had never tossed a football before shared their thoughts, hot takes, and opinions on the internet. Everyone had something to say about why Shedeur Sanders shouldn't have been picked in the 1st round. Why the child who had been a star at Colorado under his dad's tutelage wasn't ready for the big leagues. There was a clear lack of respect. The doubt was so loud, and for anyone who had even a little bit of competitive fire in their blood, it must have hurt like nothing else. This is where the narrative gets really crazy, though. Fast forward through the preseason and the first few weeks of the regular season, and all of a sudden, the Cleveland Browns are in a quarterback crisis that no one saw coming. Joe Flacco, the veteran who had been a steady presence at the start of the season, was no longer the answer. Dillon Gabriel, another rookie quarterback, came in and received the start. He was meant to be the the Pittsburgh Steelers and Cincinnati Bengals don't allow you any space to breathe. Then, in Week 11, they played the same Baltimore Ravens, who had been unbeatable and are playing some of the finest football in the league. During that game, something terrible happened. Dillon Gabriel got hit and got a concussion, which put the Browns in an emergency situation that no one was ready for. There wasn't enough time for a smooth transition. There was no chance to slowly get used to the starting lineup. The football gods had other intentions, and they told Shedeur Sanders to go into the fire right then and there. Shedeur Sanders made his NFL debut under the worst possible circumstances. Gabriel was lying on the ground, medical workers were around him, and the crowd was holding its breath. He didn't get any first-team practice reps before the game, so he didn't get a chance to create chemistry with the starting offense or calm his nerves in a less stressful scenario. It was literally a trial by fire. Let's be fully honest about what happened next, since this is where the story gets even more interesting. In that first appearance, Shedeur Sanders had a lot of trouble. The stats were bad. almost too bad to look at. He only completed 4 of 16 throws for a total of 47 yards. He threw an interception. His quarterback rating was a terrible 13.5. Even the most hopeful fan would have to stop and think about whether all those naysayers and draft analysts were correct after all. Keyboard warriors and armchair quarterbacks came out of the woodwork to declare, "I told you so," and make fun of the kid who was put in an untenable situation without any real help or preparation. But here's what all those people who are against it don't get. And this is really important for knowing what will happen on Sunday. Kevin Stefanski, the head coach, quickly said on Wednesday that Shedeur Sanders will be the starting quarterback for Week 12 against the Las Vegas Raiders. He has seen a lot of quarterback drama in Cleveland. The NFL commissioner himself said that the stadium is entirely sold out and that fans are dying to see this redemptive narrative play out in real time. Yes, that's right. People are so interested in this story and want to see if Shedeur Sanders can establish his worth and silence the skeptics that the stadium is full. This is more than just a football game now. This is a cultural moment, an event, and a chance to see history happen. Think about how much strain this young man is under right now. Shedeur Sanders will be the Browns' 3rd starting quarterback this season, after Joe Flacco and Dylan Gabriel. For a team that has had trouble with its quarterbacks for decades and has gone through them like most people change their socks, this is just another chapter in a long and often bitter saga. But this chapter seems unusual in some way. The air is full with electricity, and it feels like something spectacular is about to happen. It's evident that the Browns see something in Sanders that makes them trust him with the offense. And this week, head coach Stefanski's comments have been quite helpful. Stefanski made it very obvious to the media on Wednesday that the coaching staff will change the offense to match Shedeur Sanders' specific skills and strengths. They're not going to try to fit a square peg into a round hole and hope for the best in this case. Stefanski talked about making sure Sanders is at ease, about leaning into ideas that make sense to him, and about using the months they've spent getting to know him and figuring out what makes him tick as a quarterback. This is the kind of help and tailoring that young quarterbacks need to do well in this league, and it's far different from the sink or swim attitude that has ruined so many excellent careers before they even got started. Let's talk about the elephant in the room now. We can't talk about Shedeur Sanders without also talking about the huge shadow cast by his father, the famous Deion Sanders. The best-time Neon Deion was one of the most exciting professional athletes of all time. A Hall of Famer who changed what it meant to be a shutdown quarterback. He played on both sides of the ball, returned kicks, and had so much swagger and confidence that it was hard to miss. Deion Sanders is larger than life, and his personality is so vast that it may often overshadow everything else, including his own children's accomplishments. Shedeur played for his father at Colorado, where they quickly became the biggest story in college football. This brought a lot of attention and media coverage to a program that had been mostly unknown for years. Critics have been relentless in saying that Shedeur's success at Colorado was either fake or exaggerated due to his father's coaching, and that he was a product of nepotism instead than real skill and hard effort. They referenced Colorado's overall record, losses to top teams, and perceived shortcomings in Shedeur's game as reasons why he shouldn't have been a first-round choice. But here's what those same critics conveniently overlook. Shedeur Sanders produced huge stats at Colorado. He threw for thousands of yards, showed accuracy and calmness in the pocket, and showed leadership skills that you can't fake. He played in important games against good teams, and most of the time, he came through when his team needed him the most. Was he flawless? No way. There isn't a college quarterback. But the concept that he didn't deserve to be picked higher and that 31 teams were right to pass on him over and over again is starting to look more and more silly as this tale goes on. His last name has always made the story about Shedeur Sanders more difficult. And that's the harsh truth he's had to deal with his whole football career. There are individuals who will never give him credit and will always say that his success is due to his father's influence. Every time he does something great, they will change the goalposts. It's tiring. That's not fair, and it's the kind of close look that would break most individuals. But here's the deal with being Deion Sanders' son. You learn how to deal with stress. You learn how to ignore sounds. You discover that the only opinions that matter are those of those who really know what they're talking about. And even then, you use criticism to push you forward instead of letting it get you down. Shedeur Sanders has been getting ready for this moment his whole life, not just on the football field, but also intellectually and emotionally. The game against the Las Vegas Raiders this Sunday is so interesting because it gives Shedeur Sanders a chance to show the world what he can do when he is properly prepared and supported. Sanders will have practiced with the first team all week, unlike his first game against the Ravens when he was thrown into the deep end without a life preserver. He will have worked with the starting offensive line, gotten to know the timing of the starting receivers, and learned the game plan inside and out. Most importantly, he will have had time to calm his nerves and get ready for the game with the kind of calm confidence that is necessary for a quarterback to be successful in the NFL. This is a totally different issue, and the outcome should show that. The Las Vegas Raiders, who he will face on Sunday, are also having a tough season and have issues about their quarterback and their organization. This isn't a game versus the Kansas City Chiefs or the Buffalo Bills, which are two of the best teams in the league. This is a game that can be won against the Raiders, who have been inconsistent at best and have had trouble on defense at times. It's the perfect chance for a new quarterback to build confidence and achieve his first win. The Browns' coaches and players know this, and you can bet your last dollar that Shedeur Sanders does too. This is his chance, his moment to shine, and the whole NFL world will be waiting to see if he can do it. The NFL commissioner's statement that the stadium is sold out adds even more interest to this already interesting topic. Take a moment to think about what that means. In the NFL today, attendance can be hit or miss, depending on how well the teams are doing and the weather. So it's amazing that a Browns game with a fifth-round rookie making his first start sold out. It shows how popular the Sanders name is. Yes. But it also means something more. Fans of football enjoy a good story about an underdog. They like stories about redemption. People adore it when someone who was counted out, ignored, or insulted comes back and shoves it down the throats of everyone who doubted them. That's the tale that's going on here, and people are prepared to pay a lot of money to be there when it happens. You can't forget about the business side of this issue either. The Browns must be very happy with all the noise and excitement surrounding this game. Sales of goods are undoubtedly through the roof. There will be a lot of people watching TV. People are really getting involved with social media. Shedeur Sanders has already done a lot for the franchise by getting this much attention and interest, no matter what happens on Sunday. That's how strong a story can be in modern sports. And the NFL has always been great at taking advantage of these kinds of stories. The league knows that fans expect more than simply good football. They want to see great stories unfold, and this might be the best story of the whole season. There are a lot of questions and a lot of speculation as we look forward to Sunday. Will Shedeur Sanders prove that the Browns made the right choice by drafting him and giving him this chance? Will he show that the other 31 teams made a huge mistake by not picking him? Will he prove that his problems against the Ravens were only because of bad luck and not because of any problems with his game? Or will the skeptics be right? Is this going to be another story about overhyped players who couldn't handle the strain and stress of the NFL? We don't have to wait long for solutions in athletics. Sunday is coming, and with it comes clarity, one way or another. Or we do know for sure that Shedeur Sanders possesses a mental toughness and competitive fire that can't be taught. You either have it or you don't, and everything about his trip says that he has it in spades. How he dealt with the disappointment of draft night and how he was ready to be a backup even though he might not get a shot. The way he reacted to being thrown into a game against the Ravens, even though he was having trouble, shows that he has what it takes to be successful at the highest level. Kevin Stefanski, the head coach, can also see it. He wouldn't be making this choice and putting his own reputation on the line by starting a fifth-round rookie who had a hard time in his first game if he didn't have to. The Browns' offensive players will be very important to Sanders' success on Sunday. His offensive line needs to give him time to throw and keep him safe from the Raiders' pass rush, which can be quite dangerous when they're firing on all cylinders. To take some of the load off him and keep the defense honest, his running game needs to work. When he has the chance, he needs his receivers to win their one-on-one battles and make plays to get away from the defense. Football is the best team sport, and no matter how good a quarterback is, he can't win without aid from the other 10 players on the field. If everyone plays well, the Browns have enough weapons and potential to win this game, and that's exactly what they need to do. The effects of this game go well beyond just one Sunday afternoon in November. If Shedeur Sanders plays well and helps the Browns win, it will shift the course of Cleveland's season and maybe even their whole franchise. All of a sudden, they had their quarterback of the future, a player they can build around and grow with. The front staff doesn't have to worry about filling the position in next year's draft or through free agency. The coaches can put in their system and plans because they know they have stability at the most vital position on the field. The locker room supports a young leader who has shown he belongs. The stakes are so high because everything will change if Sanders wins. On the other hand, if Sanders has another bad year and the reasons he fell in the draft turn out to be true, the Browns will be back to square one with their quarterback dilemma, looking for answers in the same area they've been looking for almost 30 years. It's the worst thing that could happen to Cleveland fans, who have already had to deal with more quarterback failures than any other fan group should have to. The record of bad quarterbacks in Cleveland is lengthy and unpleasant. It includes Tim Couch, Brady Quinn, Johnny Manziel, Deshaun Kaiser, and many more. The community really wants Shedeur Sanders to be different and be the one who ultimately breaks the curse and gives stability to the job. From a league-wide point of view, the timing of this game is also interesting. We're in the most important part of the season right now. The postseason races are getting more intense, every game matters a lot, and teams are starting to set themselves apart from teams that aren't real contenders. If the Browns can win some games and gain aid from other teams in the league, they still have a chance of making the playoffs. To keep such dreams alive, it's very important to have a good quarterback who can run the team and create plays when needed. Shedeur Sanders gives us hope, opportunity, and the chance that something extraordinary might yet happen this season. The psychological part of the narrative is also very interesting to think about. What is Shedeur Sanders thinking right now as he gets ready for the biggest start of his life? The pressure of expectations, the noise from people who don't believe in him, the support from people who do, the legacy of his father, and the chance to change the course of his whole career with one great performance. These are the kinds of demands that make athletes who will succeed at the highest level different from those who will fail. Some players can't handle this level of pressure. Some people thrive on it, using it as fuel to do things they never thought they could do. We think Shedeur Sanders is the kind of player who does well, but we won't know for sure until he has the ball in his hands and the game is on the line. It's a smart and flexible move by the coaching staff to make the scheme work for Sanders' skills. This should give Browns supporters hope. Too many organizations try to make young quarterbacks play in systems that don't work for them. They ask them to throw the ball in ways that make them uncomfortable and put them in situations where they are likely to fail. Stefanski and his team are doing the opposite. They're designing the game plan around what Shedeur does best, which gives him the best chance to win. That's good coaching. This is exactly what a rookie quarterback needs to grow and learn. The coaches have a lot of ways to assist their young quarterback succeed, such as using more quick-hitting routes, more play-action concepts, more running plays to set up play action, or devising rollouts and bootlegs that get Sanders out of the pocket. The hype machine will be at its highest point as Sunday gets closer. Sports talk shows will discuss about what we may expect from Shedeur Sanders for hours on end. There will be a lot of hot takes and forecasts on Twitter. Public opinion and insider information will change betting odds.